Seated. Thank you. You may be seated, please. I'm very uncomfortable with my CV being read. But I come as Brother Nana. That's all. Forget about all the stories. I'm a brother. Why am I a brother? Oh, sorry. I'm seeing like my voice is louder than... can you hear me at the back? Put up your hand if you can hear me.
We are recording.
Oh, so I better have it. Now, I have come as a Christian, a brother in the Lord. A brother in the Lord because you have the same Father, Jehovah. If If you are a Christian and I'm a Christian, are we not brothers? Oh, okay, if you are a woman, you are my sister, not my brother. All of us are brothers. And this weekend, we are stopping all other subjects to discuss the subject of family. Throughout the weekend, that will be the emphasis. I'll tell you 4 reasons why it is important to set up every year a month, a weekend when you concentrate on the family. Reason number 1, when God wanted to fill the earth, he did it through the family. Do you know God had the capacity of creating 100 people at the same time? But he created Adam and then Eve, and they got children, and the rest is history, like they say. And that will tell you something, that if you truly want transformation of Kenya, we must begin at the family. That until the families start obeying God and working with God, Kenya will never change. Once there was a conference at KIA that was called the Kenya We Want. And I told them, we have a problem. We will never get the Kenya we want until we have the Kenyans who can get us to the Kenya. And it will be important to understand them as a church, as a people of God. We must of necessity emphasize a thriving family union. And we see the church will start changing and Kenya will start changing. All beginning at the family. Let me tell you something right at the introduction. If you do not have a family altar in your family, if you are not the pastor of your church, the things can come out very easily. At work, it will be seen. In the church, it will be seen because you have no family altar. When you say altar, all I'm saying a time when you stop everything else to simply have time with God and the children. Your children must grow hearing who God is. Parents that give testimony. You know, a lot of us fathers will not want to tell the child what has happened for the school fees to be found. Because you want the child to go thinking, my father is good, he got the school fees. Kumbe, it was a miracle. Even 2 days ago, there was no school fees. Then the Lord intervened. But only the mother and the father know it. They don't tell children. What I'm calling the family altar is when everybody shares testimony about what God is doing. Children who grow in such a family, grow knowing they do not look up to the father alone. They look up to the God the Father who is going to supply God the man. And because when the God the man does not give something, they don't tell him. They talk to God the Father. I have a testimony because when our last born finished university, I was also retiring from Shell, and she after finishing, she said she wanted to do masters, and not a master. She wanted to do a second degree, and it could not be found here. It was going to be found in Britain. I just told her, I'm retiring. How do you expect that I can pay school fees, British school fees, with the pension? The young lady told me, I thought you have always told us that God is a provider. And God, because I was telling her, since it was a few months before she finished, I became 55, 1977, 07, and she finished, I think in June, I was becoming retiring at the end of the year. I told her, try at least to start now, so that at least I will have started. Say, no. I want to work for a while, at least 1 year. You don't go for a second degree before you have even tasted the working world. Say, how do you expect to be paid? She gave me the answer. And I thought, now I can't argue with something she has been hearing with the family altar. How would I argue? So just said, then you better pray. And she prayed. I'm sharing this as a family testimony. Do you know, it was 07, and there was the 07 fracas. We normally call it post-election, but it started before elections were finished. But because we like to not to admit, we call it post. Now, with post-election violence, my Muzuku boss told me, and I was in charge of logistics, the matters are so serious, we can't release you at this time. We need somebody who can, and Kenya provides fuel to Uganda, to Tanzania, all over. So it meant that with the crisis on the ground, it was difficult to understand how Uganda will get fuel. So they begged me, even after I retire, please stay behind. Because the person they wanted to take over my job, the manager they wanted, was already the manager in Ghana, Shell Ghana, and I was not going to come. Please, Mr. Nganga agreed to stay on. So in 08, I continued working, getting both a pension and a salary. Can you see London? How would I have known that?
Hallelujah.
But God answers prayer.
Yeah.
Now that's not the only thing. Because of the crisis in 07, and Kenya was the first company to arrive in Kampala. Actually, Museveni had to fly to Nairobi to talk to Kibaki because Uganda ran out of fuel. And we all committed ourselves to do whatever we could. And of course, you could see where logistics were. We are using railways, they started uprooting it. You remember? So the fuel could not go by it. Then the tankers. Remember the people who wanted to ban now knew if you really want a big fire, you ban there. So the transporter said it's too dangerous to transport. And it required prayer, not just logistical knowledge, but prayer for the transporters to agree. And I was able to show them now we are not doing business, we are serving God. If a hospital will go without fuel and people die because we never gave them fuel, surely you think God will not hold you accountable? That's how transporters agreed to take the risk and give us the trucks. And so, everywhere Shell was, there was fuel. As I was finishing now in December, I got my salary slip, the final one, before leaving. As I got the salary slip, I saw it was more than double my salary. So I thought there is a mistake. Being a Christian, you don't eat money, you don't know where it is from. So I quickly went to HR and said, hey, you have made an error. The guy laughed. It's not an error. It's a bonus in recognition of what you did during the crisis. And it was just equal to the first requirement in London University. Now I'm talking about the importance of sharing testimony at home. The importance of the family altar. And what the impact that it will have. And I'm grateful to the Lord. This week, last Sunday, we had a family get together these days on Zoom, since they are not at home. And I heard that last born sharing testimony about what the Word of God, they are reading with their husband, they are following a certain book for their devotions. And they were sharing what the Bible is meaning to her. And I remembered we started reading it at home. My friend, if you're in this meeting and you don't have a serious family altar, you do not regard yourself as the pastor of your home. I want you to know, this weekend has come to tell you, stop ministry until you start it at home. Do not think that the fact you are an evangelist and moving everywhere, that things will be okay. Because God will hold you accountable for what you are doing at home. And I'm talking to myself also, because now I've also to try to influence my grandchildren. I'm talking to all of us. But that's the message. The message for the weekend is not a message to you, it's a message to us, even me. I'm not telling you the things I've succeeded in, I'm telling you the things God wants us to do. Even if I'm a traveler also. I'm not going to get you. You know, when we are young, with Bishop Gishana preaching in the 70s, we used to say, I cannot preach something until I have practiced it. And we thought it's a very spiritual statement. But you know what that means? You will not say what God tells you to say. You only say what you want and I withdrew. I no longer talk like that. If God tells me to say something, even if I'm traveling, I will say it so that we travel together. Evangelism are two beggars. One beggar telling the other one where he has found bread, but they are still beggars. It's only one beggar has discovered where it is. And instead of going alone, he says, beggar B, can we go to where there is bread? So you are not going to tell your children that you have no problems. You tell your children about your struggles and what God is doing about it. In the process, the children will learn not to look up to you, but to look up to God. And it's a very, very important thing. Now, for that to happen, we need to be having a family that is communicating at a very high level. By the way, I have a timer, and I'm going to, I've already talked 16 minutes. I'm going to talk for about 45 minutes. With the last 15 minutes, I would like my wife and I to answer questions. Because basically, it's not a sermon. It's a workshop. Am I right? So, as we are going on, if I say something that causes you to have a question, please SMS it or WhatsApp it to the following number. Please write down the following number so that you can, by the time I finish, my wife will be having the questions and she will have looked at them so that she knows she can comment about it. 0721, that's my F line, so that you'll be looking at them. 0721, then 756255. Let me repeat. 0721 756255. Send the questions there, and after, when my timer says I've talked for 45 minutes, I'll stop and we can turn this to discussion. Because some things are very easy to say, and you think you are communicating, and then it might turn out what we are saying is not understood. Just as a break on my discussion, let me tell you a story. I was invited to speak on a similar meeting in Meru about 20 years ago. And it was focused at an organized focus associate. So I was talking English. And I kept telling the couples, as a Christian, you need to fight fair. I've written a book on marriage strategies like you had. And I said every marriage must learn how to resolve conflict within the marriage. But the word I was using is, you must fight fair. During question time, one Muzee, a little older than others, stood up and said, I'm so happy, Mr. Nyanga. You know, since I got saved, people are telling me I cannot straighten my wife. For the first time, I now know if she is wrong, it's good to straighten her. The word fight meant I was telling him to beat. Me, I was using imagery. I thought they would understand. I don't mean fight. I mean discuss. But the Muzee came out thinking, I'm telling the wife him to beat the wife in the name of the Lord. Now, and I say, if there was no question time, that sister would have suffered in the name of John Nganga. That's why now, every time we are doing a seminar, I allow questions. So if you think I'm saying something strange, please write the question and say, did you really mean this? Then you have given me an opportunity to clarify so that the devil is not praised when I'm preaching. Because to misunderstand me and God to do something the Bible doesn't allow, it will be a very dangerous thing. So I am saying, for us to become the family that is going to honor God, the family where we will see miracles from God, the family the children will sense God's presence, it will be important for us to operate at what my office lecture in communication they call level 6 of communication. Level 6 of communication is where two people or more share at an emotional and personal level. Remember what, you are not at the level of how is the weather. That time you don't want to talk about yourself. You want to talk about the weather. That means you are not friends. Friends don't ask about the weather. They are able to ask, how was your life this morning? Did you go last night? Now, for somebody to be at that level, that's a very high level. And some people, even married couples, do not operate at level 6. How do I know? They are so afraid to hurt each other that they don't share. In fact, I argue in my book, the one on marriage challenges, that if you have been married for a year and your wife has never disagreed with you, no, maybe not a year, talk about 5 years, because some people are 5 years, they have never disagreed, ever. My friend, please know your marriage might not last long. It's a very dangerous thing. If your wife is so afraid you divorce her, she can never tell you when you are wrong. Because disagreement are not disagreement about bad things. It's that the way I see it is not the way that Rebecca sees it. She needs to reach a level where she is so free, she can tell me, hey, my friend, what you said at Deliverance Church was total nonsense. Of course, not now. She's not allowed to say it now. When you go home, she needs the freedom to tell me if it was not communicating anything. Can I repeat for you what you said? Yes. It was meaningless. Now, until you reach a level where your spouse has the freedom to tell you what you did was nonsense, you are operating a very low communication level. You need the freedom to tell somebody off without them feeling offended. You need the freedom to know that as I tell somebody, even if they get annoyed when they are quiet, they know I mean good. Am I communicating? That's what I came to challenge myself and yourself. We must operate at level 6, where my emotions I can share. What I'm feeling, I can share. What these days in leadership we are calling emotional intelligence is the ability to read somebody's emotions. How much better when you don't allow me to read your emotions, you can share them freely. Because then we will be able to operate where we understand each other in communication. And today, and throughout this weekend, I emphasize to you that if you truly want to a family that honors God, it will be a family where the spouses can be frank with one another. All these relationships must be saved on absolute openness and honesty. If you feel what your husband is saying is hurting you, don't smile, but you mean to cry. Now, please, let him know exactly. Don't tell us, we are not part of your family. I'm talking about the family. When you leave here and you feel like crying, go ahead and cry. But you know, some men, if a woman cries, they run from home. Now, you know, when you apply to get married, you agree to become the tear wiper. Am I communicating? Yeah. That's the ministry at level 6. Where people feel like crying, they have to go ahead and cry. Why? Because they feel safe enough to cry. And I'm not just talking about women. I mean men. You have a set around time at work. Everybody is against you. And you feel finished. But you can't cry. Why? I'm an African man. I can't cry. Doctors are telling us this refusal by men to cry is actually ending us in the hospital. So instead of going to hospital, get married. Because the role of a wife is for you to cry. You arrive home, you've been feeling like crying, you open the door where the children are, you smile to them, but you go to the bedroom and say, hey, Daddy, can you leave? Now you go to the bedroom, you lock the door, and she doesn't know what it's all about. Once you are seated, you put your head on her lap. You have now become a baby. You are feeling like a child. And you cry, and you cry, you tell her, they are just about to fire me, they misunderstand me, you cry and cry. And she tells you, darling, just cry a little more. Now, you need to understand. She is allowing you to release. Am I correct? And you can open up to her. After you have cried, you know the doctor tell us you feel better, isn't it? Now you can wash your face, go back to the children and continue smiling. But you have had your curative process. Am I communicating? That's what we're talking about this weekend. To get your wife must be somebody who tries to the level you can tell all your failures. You know, you're working in the office. You process a voucher badly. The company has lost $1 million shillings. You can't tell your boss, he'll fire you. You can't tell your junior because he report you. You can't tell your colleague because you are looking for the boss's job. So if you tell your junior, he says, what kind of a boss do I have? If you tell your colleague, he will go to the boss and say, I don't know when you leave who you want to give the job, but I know who you cannot give. Nanga. Did you know what he did? And I was telling him in secret. But he wants to tell the boss so I can be fired. I'm not communicating. Now you can't tell the boss, because the boss will fire you. Now can you see you have nobody to tell until you arrive home? And you know one person who feels like you, who will care about you. And you'll admit, it was my mess, I failed badly, and cry. But there is somebody telling you, it is true you did wrong, but it's not true that you do it every day. The fact that it happened this time, and it has not happened other times, means you're a good worker. Can you see that encouraging? Now, but for that to happen, to reach a level where you are transparent and you are able to share, it's not a very easy thing. That's why many family prayers are pretense prayers. Because they do not pray for the real needs. Because they cannot admit the real needs. Because if they share the real needs, the wife will have a team. He can't trust the wife to know what he is suffering. I know that because when I was still in charge of logistics in Shell, I still remember one of my contractors coming to my office and he said, Mr. Nanga, I don't know what to tell you. I said, why? I've just come from the hospital. They say I have cancer. And I said, oh, sorry. Then he said quickly, but please do not tell my wife. I could not ask him because he was in pain. How you mean? Do you think it's better to tell me than tell your own wife? But there are people like that, where they tell other men, but they not tell their own wife. You tell the men, and they go telling other men. You are all now hears from the wives of the other men. Can you see the confusion? Is that a Christian family? No, that's a family pretending to be Christian. It's very important to understand what we are talking about is you must operate at number 6. It means transparency. When I'm helping young people to get married, before they marry, I have a book I wrote for young people helping them before they are married. I call it Finding a Life Partner. And we'll be discussing some of those things, God willing, tomorrow during the singles meeting. And I say, before the wedding, as a way of testing whether you are ready for marriage, call a meeting where you will not talk sweet nothings. Prepare a notebook of all the things my brother. Of course, I'm talking to the wrong people. You are not single. I'm talking about for those who are single. You write down all the things that are wrong with you and your family, such that if your girlfriend had them, she might change her mind and not marry you. What is so bad about John Nganga, that if he was Rebecca, he would not marry John because of those bad things. You know, I talked with a young couple like that preparing for marriage, and then 2 or 3 months after the wedding, they said, Mr. Nganga, can we meet you? I said, yes. When we met, he said, you know, you saved our marriage. I said, how? When you told us to be open and transparent with one another, we both shared all the things, the hidden bones in our family, the hidden bone in our lives. We shared. After we came from honeymoon, my husband went back to work, and I remained around. At the shopping center near where we stay, I met somebody. He said, are you the one who married so and so? Yes. We come from the same village. He said, did he tell you this and this and this? All the stories of the village that are too embarrassing, including, do you know he was dropped by his girlfriend? She is now in America. He is not somebody worth marrying, although he is too late, they are already married. By the time that guy left the girl says, I felt like I made a mistake. Until I was sitting in the house, and I realized everything this guy told me, I had already been told by him. And I had considered it, and I had agreed to marry him despite all those. So by the time he came, I was smiling. Told him, thank God for Nana. What I have gone through today, I will not have slept here. I want to tell you something. If you really want to operate at level 6 of your relationship, you must even do it before the wedding. Do it now. Call your wife for an outing. Even if all you can buy is airbaggers, just go and have a walk. It don't cost anything. We just walk. But when we do that with my wife sometimes, we walk for about half an hour or 1 hour. We just walk. No, it doesn't cost anything to just walk. And then share the first date. Let the man share all the things that are hidden, and he knows it's very unlikely that the wife would ever share or know about it. You know, are you aware that my great grandmother was the biggest witch in our village? Okay. Now, I'm not a witch myself, I'm born again, but I just wanted you to know. Because you see, one of these days, somebody will come and say, Hiya, why did you marry into a witch family? Who is a witch? The grandmother of this father, of this man's father, was the greatest witch in our village. But if I have known in advance, I have dealt with it, isn't it? Oh, you know, when I was in Form 3, I had such an attack of bronchitis that they actually had to put me in ICU. By the grace of God, I was saved. Now since I've married you, you know I don't have a problem. But I wanted you to know. I don't want you to meet one of the sisters in that hospital and tell you, oh, you're the one who married that guy. Did he admit to you that he is a walking corpse? Why? His lands. I have one. Tell her before she hears from somebody else. Three things will happen when both of you do that. Number one, since you knew you could not have discovered your own, it will make you know this man trusts me. There's no way he won't be that vulnerable unless he trusted me. Number two, because he trusts me, I will feel safe with him. I will also find it easier to be open with him. Number three, no other man do I know that can be that open. I want to stay with this guy until we have gray hair both together. Although, by the way, gray hair is not a measure of age. You get gray hair around the age of 35. So, and you're still a young man anyway. So, gray hair is not a good measure. But you're saying you have a commitment. You feel you have a commitment. Because you have been vulnerable, you have a commitment. But the most important reason in that one is you know your family will start operating at level 6, where you are transparent and open with one another. And to be a very important thing for all of us to actually be aware and seek. And you know, this is not, I'm not original with it. That is in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 and 25. The two are naked and felt no shame. The first couple were operating at level 6. They were naked and felt no shame. My brother, if you cannot be naked before your wife, then you don't have a Christian marriage. Because the marriage that God instituted was the marriage of people who are naked before one another. So there are things you are doing, and your spouse has no idea. It just means you are not walking in a biblical way. And because you are not, the moment you are not vulnerable, the other person finds it difficult to be vulnerable. So you will go down to operating as a stranger. Now, do you know what happens when you are unable to operate at level 6? You suffer from loneliness. You end up with stress and you get depression. All because the intentions of God of giving you somebody you could be open with, you could be operating at high level, you did not encourage it, you thought it was too big a risk, and so you never took the risk. Let me first of all admit, it's quite a risk. After you have told your girlfriend or your wife, all those things, do you know you could become a radio and tell everybody? That's a huge risk, isn't it? And that's why some men don't share. But are you aware that if she does that, God will hold her accountable? Because you are God's child, isn't it? And God does not want to be destroyed. So tell her, let her misbehave. God will handle himself. Because you are not just trusting her, you are trusting your God to protect you. Are we together? And it will be important that you operate at that level. So I'm admitting that this may be difficult to achieve because of the risk involved. The risk that after you have declared how bad you are, how bad your history is, how bad your medical history is, people will say, hi, the earlier I drop this guy, the better. That's the risk we are taking. But it's a vital his relationship will grow. Am I communicating? I'm admitting his vulnerability. I'm also admitting if you could actually, your wife could actually misuse the information. But I'm saying because you are doing it in the name of the Lord, you will do it saving his hands. Not saving your right hand, saving God's hand. But the reason you will do it, because it's unbiblical not to be transparent before one another. You can't say you're a Christian husband and have stories that your wife is not aware about. You know, I make people laugh when I tell them, you go to church and you find the pastor congratulating one of the men. I want you to clap the man. Why? He bought his wife a car. It's actually in the car park. Now, to surprise your wife with a car means you had the money she had no idea about. Am I communicating? No wonder she is surprised. So the pastor should change the order to say, let's clap the man at the thief. Because obviously, on the wedding day, you say everything, all I have. These pastors make us say it. All I have, I've given you. Do you say something like that? Does the wife also repeat? So how come something was saved aside? You're a liar. You're an Ananias. And maybe not Sapphira. Now, it's very important to understand that if you truly are transparent, there is no money you have your wife does not know about. Therefore, you can never surprise her at all. Of course, you can surprise her with a handkerchief, but because that is within contingency. But a car is not a handkerchief. I'm not communicating. So you can't buy your wife a car because you must have had money that you knew nothing about. And the very fact that you knew nothing about means you are going to hell. You are not walking with the Lord. You are walking in sin. Because you are pretending to your wife. You know, sometimes you say, you don't have no money. But couldn't there is 3 million hidden? Are you not a liar? Am I right? A liar can be away to heaven? Am I communicating? Oh, but I'm lying to my wife. Could you allowed to lie to your wife, but not to others? Now, what I'm trying to say is that if you do not operate at this level of transparency, you are not operating biblically. Am I communicating? You are not operating biblically. But the way I'm speaking, I seem to be implying men are the issue. Many women are like that. They always keep money for a rainy day, which the husband knows nothing about. You ask her, do you have money? No, I have money. Only to discover she has 1 million. For a rainy day. Now, hope for banking. For a rainy day. My sister, if you keep praying for a rainy day, if God is faithful, He will give you the rainy. So you have been preparing for it. One of my friends, not quite close, the other day declared the trouble of that rainy day. She decided to put the money aside with her brother, her mother's son, that the husband knew nothing about. So they are struggling, but this brother decided not to do the things they were agreeing should be done. It is when the quarrel broke out that the husband knew about. Said, what is this? No, you know, I've been saving him 100,000 shillings every quarter. We were going to buy this together. Now look at what he has done. The husband said, are you serious? All this have been struggling. You could afford 100,000. Many people, you have heard of an animal called Financial Asset Authority. Have you heard? Unclaimed Financial Asset Authority. Have you heard of it? It is now in billions. The other day, like I told you, I do consultancy. The other day, we were in Mombasa with management. I was training the management. So I had time during the breaks to ask questions. They say they do not deal with millions. They deal with billions. Why? Of men who never told their wife where the money was. Then they made a mistake of dying. Now, the wife is suffering, and the children are being thrown out of school, and the money is earning interest for the country. Obviously, we are grateful to God for the unclaimed financial assets, because earlier it used to make money for the bank. Until a Christian young man, is actually from around here, a Christian young man called Vincent, my friend, decided to go to parliament. He's not in parliament, but to organize, to talk to parliamentarians, so that they can get this money from the bank, so that at least it can reduce our taxes. That's how financial. Now, it's not okay for anybody to leave his family suffering when the money is an unclaimed asset. But it's worse if you're a Christian. A Christian who has read Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 and 25, and knows that biblical marriage, people are transparent, they are naked, and feel no shame. So, what I'm praying for, and by the way, I'm not suggesting that I'm also not struggling. I told you that earlier. But I'm saying, please struggle. Don't give up struggling until there is nothing you know your spouse does not know. There is nothing you own your spouse does not own. I admit it is a risk, but because that's the goal, way God is showing us a good family is, take it and leave yourself in God's hands. Of course, there will be times when this type of communication is not as complete as it could be. So I'm advising you can move lower to level 6, then up level 6. But please, every time you know you as a couple are not operating in level 6. And I told you level 6 means a level where your pain becomes public to the person you're communicating with. Where your joys become public. Where there's nothing you are reserving. You are willing to take the risk and be vulnerable. That's the level we are talking about. That's what you aim for. And when you're not operating there, you keep asking God for help to operate at that level. For you to operate at that level, there are several things I suggest you must operate at. Number one, you must give each other time. The language of love is time. And many of us, especially men, I've never been a woman, so I can only speak as a man, now are so busy for the sake of our family, we are not available to the family. Am I right? Now, my friend, you will not go to level 6 in a hurry. You are right, you are losing again for another 3. There is no time for your wife to open up. Am I right? It takes time. Like I told you, we walk for exercise, and when we walk the first round, we may be saying sweet nothings. By the time we have done half an hour, we are opening up, not communicating. You lose time. If you don't give each other time, there is no way you open it at level. Because initially you open it at a lower level. You keep opening up. So let me ask you the question. Are you creating time? You know, before you are married, you are time for each other. Alright? You took her out. In fact, this week my wife reminded me of a place that was called Hotel Roma. And I don't know if it still exists. But that's where I used to be in 1977. Now, and we remember the tea was so sweet. It was not the tea, it's our company. Now, but after marriage, Roma disappears. Am I right? Now, but you know you need time. I keep saying we have a problem because we copy white in all wrong things, but you don't copy them in the right things. I did my A-level Talents, and because I was a Christian boy, many teachers used to call me, instead of going to do my prep in the classroom, from 6 prep classroom, I would be asked to go to the house to stay with the babies. Babies were young British people. To stay there in case the baby wakes up. Then I'm left with cocoa, chocolate, yum-yums, all kinds of things. So I look forward to it. And fortunately, I cannot remember a time that those babies ever woke up. So they used to call it Nairobi Day. Nairobi Day was a day when they left their babies just to be with each other. So they drive from Alliance to Nairobi, maybe around 6 something. By 9 o'clock they are back. I go back to the dormitory. Time for each other. What about you? You know the moment you get a baby, you forgot you are the husband. Not that the family, the babies are not part of your marriage. They are just visitors. Children are visitors. Okay, they stay for 20 years, but they still go. Because they were never part of your marriage. If you come to people who are in their 70s, you have to look around the house and see pictures, wondering, did they ever get children? Because whether you never got a child or you got a child, but in your 70s, most likely, if the Lord bless your children, they left. Am I right? So you can't tell whether they had any children. And let me give you the mathematics. If you marry at 25 and you are dying at 85, I'm not saying you are dying, I'm only using an example. You die at 85, you have been married for how many years? 60. Am I right? Now, within those 60 years, children will have only been with you for 20. 40 years, you are without children. Now have I convinced you they are just temporary residents? Children are a responsibility for parents before God. We must do the work God has given us when He gives us children. But never make them part of your marriage. Because they are not. That's why a Christian marriage can last even if no children are born. Because marriage is complete with or without children. So when the children come, you leave the baby to go to work. But now you cannot leave the baby to go out with your husband. What's wrong with you? Can't you have a baby? Now, if you stay with that baby, and then after a year you get another one, then after a year you get another one, but when you have 4 babies, you'll be 8 years of no communication with your husband. Then now you are coming back. He is not available. You are the one who chase him away. You need to understand at no time can you afford not to have time together. Am I communicating? You know, if you practice makes perfect. If you make a practice of not having this time out together, even after children leave, you are bored with one another. You keep changing channels because you don't know what to tell your wife. Until it's time to sleep and you sleep. So now you have time but you don't know what to tell her. Because you never got used to it. Now, and then what's the problem? You will be lonely. You are in a marriage but you are lonely. But it's because you have not invested to operate at level 6. And I am telling you, the way you get to level 6 is time. You must structure, even during your busiest time, you must structure time such that you have time when you do not go to discuss business. You just are able to look at each other and admire each other. And then it starts flowing, opening up about the things you are going through. At the emotional level, about the things you are feeling. Not the things you can tell, because it can't see your emotions. You open up and give your emotions. Am I communicating? I'm not saying it's easy. I keep repeating these words. But I'm saying I'm giving you the standard where we beggars, you and me, can go to get the bread. And it will require time. So, when I say time, I am meaning availability. Are you available? When your wife tells you, hey, you don't even gone out this month, will you cancel an official appointment to be with your wife? That's called availability. But the second one is called accessibility. You can have time together, but you're not accessible. Every time your wife tells you something, can we discuss it another day? I have that problem myself. Say, no, this is not the appropriate time. When will be the appropriate time? Now, you need to ask yourself, you are not accessible. Somebody is not able to penetrate you. You are given time, but you can't talk. You can't break through with one another. Accessibility says, I'm available, talk. And you cannot go for that talk with your phone open. Have you seen people on a date? This one is working on the phone, you're working on the phone, and then you say, hiya, what a wonderful date. It was a date with a guy in the machine. Not the one who photographed you. You're not communicating. So it's important to understand there is an issue of availability and accessibility. And it will be important to know you must give time. Take the time. Must give time. Those are people who say, no, I don't give her time, but I give her quality. My friend, a sharing has heads and tails. It's not a sharing which has heads without tails. Similarly, people need both quantity and quality. However good your quality is. Yeah, but when I go with my wife, it's quality time. I only do that once a year, but it's quality. My friend, that's a sharing, showing the head without. Can it buy anything in a shop? No. You must not only have quality, you must also have quality. Ever heard of those of you who are in nutrition? Marasmus is the disease where you eat balanced diet but not adequate. You suffer from a disease called marasmus. Kwashiorkor is when you eat a lot but not a balanced diet. And in relationship, some of you are suffering from kwashiorkor, others are suffering from relationship marasmus. It's you to tell me which of the two. But it all has to do with the quality and quantity of time you are giving to one another. My time is up. But let me finish by mentioning the others. The other thing you need to operate at level 6 is trust. You need to trust somebody. There is something called giving each other benefit of doubt. Do not start suspecting somebody with no evidence. You know, in fact, some of these people are interesting. You go to London, you come with a dress for your wife, and she says, tell me the truth. What did you do in London? I said, why? How can you bring me this dress? If you give her a dress, there is problems. If you don't give her a dress, you still have a problem. Because she is very suspicious. She cannot trust. Lack of trust will not allow you to operate at level 6. Am I communicating? So take a risk and tell the person until he gives you evidence he is not trustworthy. Am I communicating? You operate, you trust someone. And by the way, whoever said the days of Aviva was right, although it's not in the Bible. If you trust a guy who is not trustworthy, one of these days you will get the information he is not worth trusting. Before then, continue trusting him, trusting her. To become suspicious of your spouse, continue suspicious. You are smelling the clothes to see were you embraced by a sister or and there is no evidence. The problem is you. You know, some people cannot operate at level 6 because they are very sensitive. In fact, they need to write around them writing, say, put me right side up, handle with care. And some wives are like that. They are so sensitive, the marriage can never operate at a higher level. Because every time you say something, what did you mean? No. Oh, I saw you greeting that sister. Exactly what are you doing now? And I'm not suggesting that you become naive. I'm only saying you must learn to trust until evidence tells you otherwise. And it's very important to operate. So trust. I've talked about vulnerability, but actually the summary of this thing is friendship. I've written a book called Friendship. You need to operate level 6. You must be friends. You must be people who love each other and are seeking to spend time with one another. My time is up, but I still think it will be important to allow questions. Rebecca, are there any questions in your phone? If there are none, are there any? Okay, then I hand over the meeting so that we can handle the questions. And if you like speaking your question loudly, you may still ask it loudly if you didn't write. But let's first of all handle the ones that are written. She will tell me if she wants me to handle any question. Okay.
Yes, good evening. I know the time is an issue here, but how to see people when they have no idea. I'm Rebecca Nana, and Jesus Christ is my Lord.